Hello, my name is Andy and I am the Village Idiot. I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. I'm using that time to attempt to visit every civil parish in England. You're watching the Lichfield series, a district of Staffordshire containing 28 civil parishes of England. It's a gorgeous area too, so let's see which bit we're admiring today. Welcome back to Staffordshire. It's been a hot minute, but here I am back in Staffordshire once again. I'm in a different district to the one I was in last time though. Last time we were in East Staffordshire and we were looking at places around Uttoxeter. Here I'm in the city of Lichfield for the very first time, and I'm beginning Lichfield with this place. Now, you might know where this is, depending on whether or not you have watched some of my other episodes. If not, well, it doesn't matter because I'm about to tell you anyway. This is a place called Croxall, and you're looking here at Croxell Hall, and this falls within the parish of Edingale. Here's my disclaimer for people who may be watching me for the first time. I say things as I would in my native accent and dialect. As a result, I may not pronounce things in the same way as the locals do. Remember, I'm a visitor. It's impossible to know everything. Leave me a comment, spin me a like and bash that subscribe button. Let's get to today's parish video. It's been quite a while since I last set foot in the county of Staffordshire, and for the first time we're within the boundaries of Lichfield. This is Edingale, one of the most beautiful little places I've ever come across so far. Located in the Mease Valley, Edingale is around 7 miles north of Tamworth. Although completely within Staffordshire these days, historically the village was split between Staffordshire and Derbyshire. Part of it lay in the parish of Croxall, which these days doesn't exist. Until 1934, Croxall was a Derbyshire parish, but after the boundaries were redrawn, it was absorbed into Staffordshire and now falls within Edingale's boundaries. Edingale has a long history dating back to well before the Domesday Book, and it's probable that ancient Britons first settled here. The place name is thought to mean the Hall of Eada, or the corner of land of the people of Eadwine. In the Domesday Book, Edingale appears as Ednungalle and is recorded twice under the Derbyshire section of the survey. Throughout modern times, Edingale has been largely a farming area, and given how much rich farmland there is in these parts, it's still a farming community now. That said, it has expanded in recent decades, with a few new builds popping up here and there. It definitely hasn't lost any of its character though. Let's go for a walk around it and see what life's like here in 2023. We begin at Croxall Hall, a restored and extended 16th century manor house in the village of Croxall, which was once in Derbyshire. Most residents here understand that the Staffordshire-Derbyshire border once ran through this area. The line it took though was crazy. Roughly speaking, Lower Edingale was in Croxall, but the boundaries zigzagged through the community almost at random. The upshot of that is more than a third of Edingale's residents would be seen on Sunday morning walking to Croxall's church. On average, 130 people attended Sunday services here in the 19th century, and its churchyard graves bear Edingale-related names. This church stands all on its own between Croxall and Edingale, with only Croxall Hall for close company. Dedicated to St John the Baptist, the earliest part of this church is its chancel, which dates back to around the year 1200. There was formerly a south aisle, but that was demolished in the 1600s, leaving the ghosts of the arcade visible on the south side. The church is noted for its fine collection of memorials, including a few to the Curzon family, Croxall's lords of the manor. Well, I suppose between the end of the Catton episode in South Derbyshire and here at the beginning of the Edingale episode in Lichfield, that's Croxall completely covered. Now, speaking of Edingale, we're going to head towards Edingale village now for the main walk around and see exactly what that has to offer. Our main walk starts at Edingale's only remaining pub, the Black Horse Inn. This will also be our finishing point later. Directly opposite is a house which overlooks a green. That's the old post office, which is now a 4-bedroomed property. The green is known as Tree Roots, and it's speculated to be either a Roman or ancient British burial mound. On Church Lane is Church Farmhouse. It's one of Edingale's oldest buildings, dating back to 1664. It's listed Grade 2 along with a number of other houses, the Church of the Holy Trinity and its associated buildings. That's on the left-hand side of the road. On the right there's some more modern housing as we make our way towards some more listed buildings. Another listed building is the Old Vicarage, the house in your shot now. Made of red brick, this is early to mid 18th century. Next to that is a timber-framed former stable. This is early 18th century and its bulging walls make it seem like it's going to explode. So Church Lane is a dead end if you're driving, but you can actually keep on walking, which is what we're going to do in a moment. But before we do that, we need to check out the church here in Edingale, and you can just about see the entrance to it right there. Its tower is hidden behind this tree. Let's go into the churchyard and talk a bit about this next. Designed by Charles Lynham of Stoke and built in 1881, Holy Trinity Church stands on the site of at least 3 other previous structures. 2 of the earlier buildings were of Saxon origin. A small Saxon window is still built into the vestry of the current building. The county border once ran across the churchyard. This was a problem for residents who died in the Croxall portion of Edingale. They could be buried here, but their priest could not enter the church to conduct a service without the permission of the Edingale priest. Now we've moved away through Church Hollow and onto Woodyard Drive. At the end of this road is a parish notice board. If you're new here, this is what I do with these. I leave a card to mark that I've been. 1 down in Lichfield and 27 to go. Also, if you're new, I often find these interesting. The Humble Pillar Box, and this one was built during the reign of George V. Now, when I was planning this route, I came across this sign on Street View. Joe's Cave Walk, private drive, access to Joe's Cave and Fort Joe only. And it begs the question, who on earth is Joe? The Village Hall now. This is your typical communal building, but every year it's transformed for the Edingale Summer Show. The show features vintage tractors, cars and bikes, live music, an outdoor bar, market stalls, a cafe, games and a barbecue. For the rest of the year, the hall and its excellent playground facilities here are used on a regular basis by the locals. This recreation ground not only has the playground but also includes an amazing park with a tree house and a zip wire. You can walk through the park to the top of School Lane. On the left here is the old schoolhouse, right next door to the current school. This, the Mary Howard School, was opened in 1915 and replaced the old school, which dates back to 1820. The old school was in the Croxall part of Edingale. That's why on an 1843 tithe map it was shown as Croxall School. And once past the school, we then cross onto Pessel Lane, which, as you can see there, is a dead end, but there are things such as footpaths. And luckily, there's one at the end of this, which will form a nice, neat little loop around Edingale. Next we have Pessel Lane, a dead end leading to a cluster of small holdings about a mile or so outside the village. Until recently they were let to tenant farmers, though most have now been vacated. The road crosses a small bridge. Flowing under that bridge is Pessel Brook, which you may remember from Cotton in the Elms. It runs alongside a green into Edingale's newest area. This green and adjoining estate greatly increased the size of the village. It was developed in two parts in 1989 and 2001. At one time, Croxall was the much bigger village. Its reduction in size can be attributed to an outbreak of the plague in the 1300s. Ever since then, Edingale has grown and grown, overtaking its parochial neighbour. It hasn't lost any of its character though, or its charm. Okay, we've got one section of walk left, which will take us back to basically where we began. What a lovely little part of Staffordshire this is. I would love to live here, and I'm sure the people that do absolutely love it. Exiting the estate, you'll find a tree which was planted to mark Edingale winning a recent Best Kept Village competition. Almost back to the start now, we've emerged onto Croxell Road, where we find the 300-year-old Fields Farm. The other side of the road consists of some newer properties set back in a cul-de-sac-like format. They're still on Croxall Road though. Next we hop over Raddle Lane. Raddle is the red colouring that's put on a ram's belly during mating time. The more you know. And we're back to the Black Horse Inn. By the way, there were once two pubs in this village until the other one was demolished in 1971. Opposite is Edingale House Farm, farmed for many years by Edingale's most famous resident. More on him in a moment. A few more steps brings you to a mini roundabout which marks the end of civilization and the end of today's main walk. And that brings us to the end of the walk, and right on cue, the sun's coming out. So in the next one, I will be jumperless. I'm starting to get a bit warm now, I've got to tell you. It's going to illuminate Staffordshire though, in all its glory. The village hall has a horse on its logo. That's down to a man named Edward Jocelyn Holland, known to everybody as Joss, who brought fame to Edingale. He lived with his mother, two sisters and one brother at Edingale House Farm and was a successful breeder of shire horses, buying and selling them all over the world. Simultaneously, he was rearing a pedigreed dairy herd, prize-winning clun sheep and Tamworth pigs. He was honoured in 1983 for his work and services to agriculture when he received an MBE. In 1984, apart from one young stallion, his entire stock of top-class shire horses went under the hammer, and 4,000 people and buyers flocked into Edingale from as far afield as America and Canada. Joss was a collector of antique furniture, and that too was auctioned off in 1986, a few months after his death at the age of 96. He's remembered now by Holland Court, a street next to Edingale House Farm. And that's been Edingale, wholly within Staffordshire these days, but historically a confusing place to live in. Next week we're heading deeper into the county, where the boundaries don't really make a jot of difference. If you thought Edingale was nice, wait until you see what's lined up next. See you later, folks. Thanks for watching this video, folks. Don't forget to like this episode if you haven't already. It really makes a difference with YouTube. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, and give us a share too if you've got friends who'd like it. You can find all the links to my social media accounts below, as well as my Buy Me a Coffee page where you can donate to the channel. Also, if you've enjoyed this episode, have a look at some more videos in this series. Until next time, I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot, and I'm out.